if we're going to explore the subject of minerality, and I think the subject of minerality is an incredibly fascinating one, we could spend a whole day discussing it, and I think we would only just get to grips with it.
So we're here at the Symposium Wine and Culinary Show of Miguel Torres, and we had an excellent but short show with Jamie Goode here today about minerality in wines. Can you please take a quick note on that for our viewers?
Well, it's a really it's a tasting term that's come into wine recently over the last maybe 15, 20 years. Increasingly, people are describing wines as mineral, and it's a really interesting topic because it's quite controversial. The idea being that nobody really knows exactly what they mean by the term mineral.
Exactly.
And then there's the question of how does a wine become mineral? What's the mechanism? Is it something to do with the soil, which would be an obvious choice, or is it something else? So really, the talk was exploring all these aspects of minerality using a scientific perspective, because my background is science, but also thinking about wine and thinking more broadly about the way that people talk about wine.
What do you think is the most importance with minerality, if we now say that you can find some minerals in the wine, in the palate and in the nose? What do you think is the to compare it with food?
Yeah, I'm really interested because I think that one of the interesting things about wine is when you get non-fruit complexity in wines. Because we all like fruity wines.
Yeah.
Fruity wines are great. But if a wine is just fruity, then that's not really enough. We want more than just fruit in our wines. We want to have extra dimensions. And so minerality potentially is an extra dimension in a wine. It's something textural, it's something, but it can also be something that's on the nose as well. You can smell maybe minerality in a wine. And so maybe, I think some of the research that's been done on the topic suggests that people mean different things when they talk about minerality. And so it may be more like a medical syndrome where you've got the same symptoms but very different causes.
Yeah.
And so I think this is an area which currently is under-investigated. I think it would be really good to do more research on the idea of minerality and where it comes from, and maybe dispel some myths, but at the same time not being a scientific fundamentalist and ignoring what we can actually taste and smell with our own eyes, even if we can't explain it in terms of science.
You also talked about that you did some tests with groups that people are talking different about minerality.
Yeah, I was referring to the research by Jordi Ballester, who's a researcher in Dijon. He's done these experiments on groups of people doing sensory analysis and looking at the words they use to describe wines. And he's got good evidence that people are talking about quite different things. So in some ways you could say, well, in that case it's a meaningless term, we should abandon it. But I'd quite like to rescue the term because I think it's really useful. And I think that maybe there's something to minerality in wines.
I learned something this summer traveling Sicily for the third time, and I was told, I don't know if this is true, but I was told by a winemaker that actually the volcanic soil is the only soil where you can actually measure minerality in the grapes.
Well, this is really interesting. I'd love to see some of that, some of those data, because I think maybe that is true. I don't know if it is or isn't, but I think it's really fascinating. And to be honest, if someone's making interesting wine, then I'm going to listen to them.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.